I think the only thing that I could pull out of being young and being happy was the fishing, you know. Being down the river before anybody else got down there and sitting at the net waiting for the men to come around to help pull the net, you know. That was the only thing in the childhood that I remember that was good. Fishing has been my livelihood almost all my life. Ever since I can remember. When I was old enough, we were taught. We didn't just fish for ourselves, we fished for everybody else. It is still that way today. It's something that should be kept in our tradition and should be taught to all the youth that are, because it's an art that's dying. There are not too many people out there who like to fish anymore. Only thing with the fishing is we have to look after it, you know. It's been commercialized too much. The fish are starting to dwindle. I remember a time when you could actually walk across the Skeena River on the back of the fish that came up. There were so many there you could just literally see them bubble across the Skeena when the runs came up. And now you have to search and see where they are, and you don't know if the runs are going by because there's so few. Say to like Nation, he's my fisherman now. He stepped up when I couldn't do anything anymore. That's what we need more of the young people coming and saying, hey, you can't do that anymore, let me do that for you. My name is Dachnidslaski, which means eagle soaring high above. I'm from the House of Medik, Gisbagwada tribe, in the Gitzilasu territory, Tsimshian. My given name is William Bolton. 12 and 13 years old, I was running through the bush to stay away from the residential school and the 60 scoop. I've said before and I'll say again, I never had a childhood. And that's something that I don't wish on anybody. Everybody needs to have a childhood, to have something to remember, to go back on. All I remember is grief, just fighting just to live. Just to make sure my brothers and sisters ate, just to make sure that they had enough things to go to school. And that's all I remember of my childhood. You know, my last 25, 30 years that I spent with my late wife, she was really instrumental in helping me change my life. Helping me become who I am in my company today. She was like a native lady, but she was white. My family was dying and I was a drug addict. I told Cheryl if I wanted to change, I'd have to come home. You know, if it wasn't for her, I really don't know where I'd be right now. And it all came from her being sick, her getting sick and on her way to death. That changed me, that made me see who I was, that I stopped everything I was doing so that I could take care of her the way she took care of me when I first met with her. And she wanted us to be married. It's my grandmother that said this time. A lot of people were trying to give Cheryl funny names, and Aunt Isabel said, no, this is wrong, and took Cheryl and adopted her into her house. That equaled the strength of mine. And Cheryl became a wolf. Did it in a feast hall in front of my family, and that was huge to see my family be humbled like that. And Cheryl, you should have seen her, boy, I tell you. Whew, sorry. Her heart was too big for that hall when she found out what was going on. And it was shortly after we got married that we found out she was dying. A lung transplant, there was nothing they could do. Her heart started giving out. I quit everything. I quit drinking, smoking, everything. I believe that the love I had for Cheryl is one that was pure. If I didn't love her as much as I did, I would not have changed. So they said she was going to die within a year, and she lasted 18 years after that. And she, I believe to this day, she wanted to make sure I was okay before she went. Yeah, and she went home, and now she's not suffering anymore.
I like going out to Seamus Mountain. I like going out to the woods, and I feel so overwhelmed about what's going on around me. I need to vent out. I need to release what I'm feeling, and sometimes it's grief. Mostly it's grief, and it's for my family, for my children, my great grandchildren, my granddaughters, and it's just what's going on in their lives that I can feel it. My name is Anne Esther McDames. I was born in Terrace at the old army barracks. I was born August 3rd, 1951. My traditional name is Tachae, and that comes from my grandmother, and then was passed on to my mother, and now it's mine. Tachae is it's caring, it's helping people. I think it's important that us in our community that we're able to share and to be able to talk to the youth. They shouldn't have to feel afraid, but to be able to come to you if they are in trouble, or if they need help, or if they just need someone to talk to. I think it's very important. It's important because of all the things that are going on in this world right now. We need to really protect our young, and we need to let them know that we do care. You know, sometimes they might feel that nobody cares for them. And I was there, you know. I felt that nobody cared for me. It's hard to talk about myself sometimes. And I hear from other people that I have grown, and I said, how and where and what, you know, because I can't see it. I just know that what I like to do most is being with people and talking and listening to them. There's so much I'm still learning. I miss singing, I miss drumming. It's my medicine, you know, to keep me stronger. And for me to pass it on, it's important. Our dance group hasn't been able to get together for quite a while after the COVID, because everything just shut down. I'm hearing now even from my family, you know, let's start again. Grand, let's start again. We want to start. And because they got their children, they want their children to learn. And so that's getting me inspired too. Okay, let's just do it. When I was young in the community, the only person that I can think of is my mother. The things that she went through, to see how strong she was. Because she went through a lot. And I'm just glad that she was able to share with me some things of what she went through, because she's very quiet around other people. I told her what I was feeling. I told her what was going on in my heart. And she looked at me and she said, "You're not alone. And you're not alone." In order for me to release it, that's what I do, just to release it. And it makes me feel better. You know, like I don't have that heavy burden. I'm not carrying it with me all the time. I have to release it, and that's how I do that. That's how I release and be able to calm down and carry on with my life, you know. It comes to me once in a while, and I feel it. I need to get out. Ahoy, 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 ahoy.
My name is Audrey Bennett. I was born with a name that God gave me. I guess you could say I'm a real believer in God, in Jesus Christ at St. Matt. I have only one brother, and we were raised together. He was raised with my auntie, and then my grandparents took over when they moved to Port Edward for cannery work. So my grandparents took him, and I called my grandparents Mum. I never called her Granny. I only knew her as Mum. My grandfather taught me how to trap, how to hunt, how to fish. And my grandfather had me carry this net, and you had to try to sneak up on them and just throw it and catch them before they run away. And my grandmother was the one that taught me how to preserve food, like fish, seal meat, deer. She taught me a lot, how to sew, how to knit, how to crochet. My grandfather was strict on education. He always said, it's never too late to learn. You can learn, never give up. He said, you can do anything you want, as long as you set your mind to it. And that's the way I was raised. I'm not from here. I'm from Kitcatla. It's a beautiful place. We came here, there was only one row house, seven houses. It's not until I got here that I used to get taunted from school and from our neighbors. Go back where you came from. You're Indians. But where I was raised in Kitcatla, we never used that word. We were all the same. Like my son talks about it a lot, Webb. He didn't know anything, the difference between Indian and white. All he knew was on TV, that Indians kill the white people. Sooner or later you have to deal with this racism and learn we're all human. Like I learned in my church, our blood is the same, it's red. We're all the same blood, just different color skin. Girls can do whatever they want now. You don't have to be just a strict wife, nurse, or secretary. I did a lot. I worked in a cannery. I was a fish cleaner, and my last job was a Kitty Kazan teacher's aide. My mother had left us when my brother was 6 months old. And that whole time I found out after I was in my 40s that she was living in Prince Rupert the whole time. She never tried to get to know us. Never. I met my mom when I was in my 40s, and I didn't really talk to her, never really tried to be open. Until I heard she was dying of cancer is when I went down to see her, and I thought it's time. As I believe in God and I believe in forgiveness, I went down to see her. First day I got off the ferry, and I said, I think I want to forgive you for hating you. She started crying, and she said, the reason why. It's a forced marriage after your dad died. So she died an unhappy life with the choices she made. Don't give up. Forgive. Learn, get an education. Do as much as you can to learn. Graduate. Do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want. Don't say oh, I can't do it. Just keep on. You can do it. Like my grandfather told me, nothing is impossible. So I really appreciate my grandparents for what they did for me. It was my grandparents that inspired me. And I miss them a lot. The only way I can say it, I was taught to never give up. Keep trying. Like my grandfather taught me, never give up. You can do anything you want. There's no such word as can't. That was his favorite phrase. My culture really taught me well.